Hi, this is Jeff, and I'm back with a coloring video. I know it's been a while. Well, today I'm going to show you how I drop in a simple shadow. Because in larger, more complex images, especially if it's a landscape, you might have to determine where the light source is and then where you're going to put the shadows, how long should they be, and then they have to match everybody else's shadows and length and stuff like that. It's enough to drive you crazy. Well, it drives me crazy at the very least. But let's say that you're just doing something like this. Now, let me show you what this is. This is a skull Celtic knot. Isn't that cool? I think that's really cool. Anyway, this was drawn by a Twitch streamer and crafter named Karen Crafter. She can also be found on Twitch. I will leave her Etsy store information and her Twitch channel in the description box. Please visit her stuff. She does some really neat stuff. She does do some coloring pages, but she mostly does prints. She does amazing knot work, so give her a look. So what I've done here so far is I've taken one strand of the knot here, and I've done a simple blend, which I showed you in the previous video. Now, the only colors I'm going to be using here are this orange, and this yellow, and a warm gray. That's it. That's all we're going to do. Now, sometimes you've probably seen people do shadows where they are using all sorts of funky colors. They do great work, but that takes a lot of time, and I just want to have some fun. So this is what I do. Let's get on real close, show you what's going on here. Now, as you can see, I've already done one right here. Well, now I'm going to do it on this side. So all you're doing is you're taking this gray, which in this case is a warm gray. They have both warm grays and cool grays. I would say use a cool gray if you're using any kind of a bluish or purple. But if you're using any kind of a yellow, orange, or red color and you're adding a gray shadow, I would go with a warm gray. But experiment, see what works for you. So make sure, first off, make sure it's sharp. Always got to use a sharp pencil. Oh, and by the way, these are Polychromos pencils, but you can use, of course, you can use Prismacolor pencils or really any pencil that you like. And then just go here. This is where it's going on. The knotwork is going underneath the one on top. And then you're just going to lightly go back and forth right at the line there. And then you go out as far as you think is necessary. Now you shouldn't need to go out too far. And then using light pressure, just go in little circles and you're creating a little patch of shadow. Now once you've done that, what I like to do is go back with the original color and blend that out a little bit so it doesn't look quite so harsh. And then it ends up looking more like an actual shadow underneath the artwork. Now, I did that over here too. As you can see, I've got a small shadow right there. And just to show you how that, on the orange, go back in here. Again, sharp pencil. I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit. And then as I go out, switch to making little circles instead of back and forth. And then only go out as far as I think is necessary. Go back in with the pencils are trying to jump out of off the table. And just go back in with the orange a little bit. And then I'm not loving the way this turned out, so I'm just going to give it a little more there and then blend this out a little bit more. And eventually you just going between the gray and the yellow, or the gray and whatever color that you're using. You'll get it to a point where you don't hate it, as I like to say. Do it until you don't hate it. Because if you had to stop and only stop once you were satisfied with something, you'd never finish. And trust me on this. I know how we are. We needs to be perfect. Well, no, it doesn't need to be perfect. Just make sure you don't hate it. So that's it, with just a little bit of gray. Now, if you want, you can also use different shades of this gray. This is a fairly dark. This is more like a medium dark in the warm grays. If you'd want, or if you wanted to, what you could do is when you're starting from this end, when you're right up against it, you use a darker gray, and then the next, after you've done back and forth and you've got a nice little dark line here, is then you pick up a softer gray or a lighter gray, and then you do the circles on top of that. Totally up to you. Experiment, have some fun with it. This is what coloring is all about, is just to relax, have some fun, and create something that you enjoy looking at. Nobody else needs to take a look at this if you don't want them to. This is totally for you. This is your time. This is your day. Go have some fun. Okay, so here, I'll lift this up a little bit so you can get a better closer look at it. There you go. A couple of simple shadows. Not my best work, but then again, I was having fun, so that's all that matters. And I'll probably go back and finish doing the rest of this skull at some point, but while I got a good start on it, I just wanted to show you a little something. Anyway, please subscribe if you like this kind of content. Give me a thumbs up, like if you enjoy it. And if there's anything else that you would like to see or any ideas that you would like to share, please leave them in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye-bye.